To pray, there's no angels where I go. Only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kirusho here. And now, whenever we last left off, Izuku had just defused, and Mina has learned that the grass is dying. And in fact, this injector thing is causing quite a bit of damage to the earth. They need to figure this all out and get it sorted. Midoriya actually trying to bubble Spinel, forming one as it would just pop immediately. Confused. Trying to do so over and over and over again, physically exhausting himself. Mina actually getting a bit concerned. Midoriya's, well, never been like this before. Her running over and asking him if he's okay. Midoriya getting up and actually finding out what's happening. Looking at his gem and seeing that it's just freaking out. And he's not really sure what to do. Now, the two would begin to walk down the hill. And actually try and, well, find the gems. Deku, he found Ruby and Pearl fairly easily. Along with Amethyst. He already had her. But where is Sapphire? Them actually just looking around. Down by the beach, and eventually finding it. Her gem is also cracked. Midoriya picking it up and actually just running back into the house. Setting them down on the table and trying to figure it out. This is not going to be easy. In fact, well, do his tears at least work? Him actually just letting a few out. And just throwing them on the gem. As it doesn't work at all. In fact, that seems to be the problem. Him actually just running around and trying to figure this out. Running over to the warp pad and trying to use it. His, well, powers aren't working anymore. Him actually doing one thing. Taking a deep breath in and taking a large breath out. Letting out a bit of fire. Him noticing that his fire isn't pink anymore. In fact, it's red. So that is odd. Mina actually looking at this. That's never been like that before. So what happened? I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure this all out. I think my... Midoriya is trying to figure this out. And thinking. He's fairly certain that his human half survived the hit. The other gems, they were physical forms, were cut in half. So unlike a gem destabilizer. He remembers what happened to Lapis, so this is somewhat like that. Him immediately thinking, Lapis. And running back over to the warp pad. Trying once again to go to Little Homeworld. That not working. Calling his dad and actually ask him where he is. He needs to ask him something. And catch a ride. Hisashi coming by with the van and loading them up. Asking exactly where they're going to. Midoriya explaining that they need to get to Little Homeworld. As soon as Hisashi just asks exactly why isn't he taking the warp, Midoriya would try and explain it. Setting the gems down in the back of the van, saying that they just need to go, now. As soon as he said that his powers don't work, Hisashi would have just hit the brakes. And jump back into the back seat. Beginning to look around. He remembers it should be in here somewhere. He must have left it here, right? Now, this is whenever Hisashi would pull out a warp whistle. Deku confuses to what this thing is. Hisashi just saying that this is something that Pearl gave him one day. In fact, remember those days whenever we were training and I told you that Pearl just took me here? Or took me to the temple? Midoriya just saying, yeah, he does. Hisashi just saying that Pearl actually didn't allow me there. Or teleport me there, or whatever. She gave me this thing. It can activate the warp. And, well, you don't need any power to do so. Or even use it. You just need to blow on it. Midoriya just, well, wide-eyed at this. Giving his dad a giant hug and saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Scooping up the gems and immediately just running back. Into the house. Hisashi does want to tag along. But where are the pros in all this mess, all this entire situation? This being where, let's cut over to Sir Night-Eye. With all this intergalactic stuff happening, there's been a bit of a problem. Humans and gems can coexist. That is fine. But this is somewhat like how things were in the beginning, with quirks. There were certain laws and restrictions. Yes, there were. Only certain people can handle people with quirks. And so forth and so forth. Meaning that back then, if you had a quirk, you can fight someone else with a quirk. But you could not be quirkless. Basically, it was like you can be a quirkless hero and only fight quirkless people. Like little bank robbers and just random thugs. But even then, it was at least to give you yourself a fighting chance. And keep yourself safe. Until it eventually became, well, a lot more outdated. And more quirks, or more people with the quirks, began to outnumber the ones without them. Basically, the heroes cannot interfere because they're not gems. It would be violating a treaty that was made. There are a lot of legal actions to jump through with this. So Night-Eye is just saying that for now they can just leave it up to that young man. In fact, he does see a future where that young boy does pull through on this. Or at least, so Night-Eye just, well, taking in a deep breath. And saying that he hopes it's there. The boy already stopped the cluster. And, well, I hope he can change the future at least one more time. Now, Deku and Mina would have warped to little homeworlds. And actually meet with Bismuth. We're a bit confused as to why Steven is carrying all these other gems. Deku just basically explaining that... I said Steven, didn't I? Deku just explaining that he has a problem and he doesn't know how to fix it. Along with that, he can't bubble things or even use his powers. That is the long and short of it. Him just setting the gems down and asking her if she even knows how to help. They went to Rose's fountain and got, well, Sapphire healed because her gem cracked, along with Amethyst. And then there's this. As he would just hold up a heart-shaped gem. Bismuth a bit confused as to what this is. She's never really seen a gem like that before. That is odd. Is that new? No, it can't be. That is the gems will begin to reform. Along with Spinel. Spinel didn't get hit by the Rejuvenator. So that means she still has her bad habits. As soon as all the gems reform, Pearl would have asked for the settings. Hisashi not being there to say anything, or Greg being there, they would basically do that thing where it's like, oh hey, no settings, default, whatever. And the Pearl would have been normal. Now, this would all be fine, along with the default amethyst popping out too. Ruby and sapphire coming out the same way too. As Spinel would have tried to fight once more, going on a bit of a small tangent and a rampage, beginning to try and attack Bismuth until she would have been restrained by Lapis. Peridot actually coming in and trying to help too, with her limb enhancers, going to blast her through her physical form. Before, Midoriya would have just jumped in the way and threw up his shield, completely blocking the blast, saying to wait, asking if she even knows what happened, or why is she even doing this. Spinel not really giving an answer, and just saying that the reason why she's doing this is because Pink Diamond abandoned her, left me in the garden for over 6,000 years. Let's play a game. I'll show you how it ends. The ending wasn't there. I'm the loser of the game. Don't you understand that? Her just throwing her hands out, elongating them, surprising Lapis as she'll go to grab the Rejuvenator out of Midoriya's arm, or at least out of his hands. Him actually having to elongate it and slash it straight through her, surprising Bismuth, as she would have been poofed once again. Deku just asking exactly what do they do now, as the other gems are just watching this, and just not really sure what to say. This Pearl is trying to act like Midoriya's her, well, superior or her subordinates, like a butler. Now, she would have been asking him all types of questions, along with actually asking him his, well, more and more things. If he likes the weather, if he's perfectly fine, if he needs anything, stuff like that. Midoriya having to explain, no, he's fine. Along with this amethyst just copying and mimicking everything around her. As Deku would have asked Bismuth exactly how can they fix them. They're all just, well, back to... Bismuth is saying back to how they used to be. Grabbing the Rejuvenator from Steven, or Izuku, my bad, and explaining to him exactly what this thing is. Whenever gems step out of line, they use this on them. And then they sorta just go back to how they were. Whenever they emerged. It isn't something you can just deal with on the fly. In fact, I believe that I might be the best one to deal with this. Will you try and figure out what's going on with that thing? Her just pointing towards the beach. And you can see clearly a large part of the mountain is covered in this poison substance. Now, Midoriya would just say that that's not good. Bringing his hands up as he gets covered in a bit of a weird glow. Bismuth actually a bit surprised, and asking him if he's all good. Midoriya is someone just saying that he'll be fine, before the glow dissipates. Now, Midoriya's been trying to at least hide this. It's sort of just been popping up recently, and he's not really sure why. Whenever he feels very stressed out or any sort of extreme emotions, he begins to use this ability. He's not sure what it is, but from what he's able to catalog about it, he gets heavier and he thinks he gets stronger. He's not too sure about it himself. He hasn't really had time to use it while he's stressed out. Just an innate reaction. Now, Midoriya would have tried to leave this in Bismuth's hands. And, well, they begin to go on a bit of a tour. her trying to jog their memories and get things properly sorted out. Until Spinel does reform and begin to act differently. Deku actually noticing that she's acting more like a... Well, what were those things before? Something like a circus clown or a jester. It's like she's just... As she would just keep going on more and more, running around the place and jumping around, being quite annoying, if you want to call it that. Until she actually just get her hands on something Bismuth was using at the moment. She was currently sawing through a tree. They'd like to source their own material, and in fact, she was just working on something. This is where Spinel would have picked up a saw and begin to run around with it, until she does turn it on, and begin to cut all the way around and through the place, until she's heading straight for a sapphire. Deku just doing one thing, throwing his hands out and actually trying to create a shield, doing so and immediately tossing it away. The Ruby jumping in front of Sapphire and just grabbing the shield, immediately just throwing it in front of her. Midoriya taking in a deep breath and telling them to move now. The Sapphire, she's content though. She knows that she was going to die right now. And in fact, that shield's going to break in about 3 seconds, about 4 actually, and then it is going to cut straight through that gem of hers on her hand, before her physical form does poof. But as the Ruby would have cut her off, saying that that's very interesting and all, but, well, your ability, able to see into the future. Exactly how does it work? As this Ruby would begin to state off more and more futures. Some of them are a bit odd. Apparently she got poofed by scaffolding, something falling on her, and then that just being the end. But, well, the Ruby continuing to talk. The Sapphire being a bit more intrigued. It's been more than 5 seconds, and this conversation is still going on. Until she would have at least come to her senses a bit more, and immediately just grab Ruby and push her out of the way. The two fusing to form cotton candy garnets. Now, with that happening, Deku would have been really excited to have her back. Ignoring Spinel's path of destruction for a minute, and trying to hug her. Cotton candy garnets kinda confused. And dodging him. Asking, what is this? Where am I? Who are we? Now, with that happening, Deku's just thinking. Intense emotion. Things to help jog her memory. I think I have a couple of ideas. Now, Midoriya would just think. Getting the gems and actually walking back over to the warp pad. And heading in. Using the warp whistle to move around the various locations on Earth. As they would have gotten to the Strawberry Battlefield. Pearl actually looking at this, and a bit surprised at what is this place. Until Bismuth just say that this place was once it was once a very good point for the rebellion. In fact, they drove off quite a lot of Homeworld's forces here. They thought, as she would someone just look away. She doesn't remember initially what happened, but, this is the way Pearl described it, so it would work. As she would just hold her hands up, pointing directly up into the air, saying that that's the direction. Right there. That is where Homeworld is. You've once told me that they sent a large blast, and Rose protected you and Garnet with a shield. So, as she would just walk forwards, going deeper and deeper into the battlefield, and picking up a weapon, saying that this was once one of their friends. In fact, they're part of the cluster now. So, do you understand this? Her just handing over the sword. The Pearl, not really sure what to do. She is looking towards Midoriya, and Midoriya just keeps nodding and telling her to do whatever she pleases. Do whatever she wants, or just, well, do what she thinks she wants to do. The Pearl actually somewhat freaking out. And, well, once she takes the sword, she actually does at least look over it, inspect it more. Very fine craftsmanship. In fact, it seems like her trying to think of the name. Why does she know the name? Now, this would have been a bit tricky and or difficult until they do warp over to the kindergarten and try to help Amethyst. Now, as soon as that happens, Amethyst would have just looked around, a bit confused as Midori would have taken her to see the hole she emerged from, somewhat mimicking everything that happened. The day she came out of the hole, the day she met Rose Quartz, and the two actually having a bit of fun. Deku talking with her more and actually showing her more of training, along with knowing that he might have a bit of time, morphing into Leopard, and saying that he needs the Purple Puma's assistance with a tag team battle. Mina actually laughing her ass off at this, while Midoriya is a bit more, yeah, this is actually really draining of his stamina. Eventually him just dropping to the ground and de-shapeshifting. His powers are getting worse. At this point he doesn't think he can even use them. Now, with that being said, this is whenever Amethyst, she would have actually been a bit more open to this. Midoriya actually showing her quite a bit of skills she's done, along with actually bringing his hand up and grabbing her into a hug. As Garnet remembers who she is, she would have actually fused, creating Smoky Quartz. As soon as Smoky realizes what's going on and that she exists, she would have poofed. And the two would have looked at each other. Now, Midoriya, he is heavily exhausting his power and his stamina. Now, Amethyst would have asked him if he is okay. And what was that? Midoriya just saying that he's glad that she's back, but he's not too sure. That was a fusion, but my powers aren't working, so we can't maintain it. Oh, shit. But it would have been cool though, right? Yeah, well, we can figure that out later. For right now, we need to figure out Pearl and Garnet. The two heading back to town. Deku has been telling his dad that they've been trying to fix the crystal gems, and that the next one they need to fix is gonna have to be Pearl and Garnet. In fact, well, yeah, this is gonna be annoying. Him telling these two that they're gonna be going somewhere. Heading down to the beach and actually setting up a bit of a rock show. As down at the beach, Hasashi and Steven, or Hasashi and Midoriya, would have actually gotten on stage. It being announced that Mr. Universe is making a comeback song. Everyone in town at least knows who Mr. Universe is. And the OG fans would have worn their old shirts, since this was announced on a social media platform. Now, with that being said, they would have been playing and actually strumming a bit of songs. Deku actually playing with his dad, and these two strumming the instrumentals to the song Smoky Quartz 1.0 Fuse 2. No, Rainbow Quartz 1.0, my bad. Now, with that being said, this would have been a bit confusing until Midori and Hisashi would have fused, creating Hisaku Universe. Now, this name I actually just made up on the fly, and I'm surprised at how good it turned out. But Hisaku Universe will be the Steg universe of this universe. That is a lot of universes in one sentence. But anyway, the two would begin to play until the pearls that's freaking out would have remembered and actually go through her various transformations. Along with Garnet. She's a bit more open to this now. She is remembering something, but she's not sure what. Spinel being left in the background, as the Hisaku universe would have started flying around, and barely have enough time to keep himself up in the air. As soon as they would have finished the song, rushing through it a bit more, the two would have defused, and Midori would have dropped to the ground, having trouble actually standing on his own feet, before they would have actually just gone back to the temple. Midori explained to Pearl and Amethyst what is happening. The two forming Opal and actually trying to pull this thing out of the ground. Opal is a bit more focused and less forgetful. So that's at least good. The two are able to agree on something. Usually those two combining, Opal's their worst traits put together. Very forgetful and very clumsy sometimes, but still at least elegant in her own way. A very, very good tactician, and very useful in combat. Now, this would have been where, Spinel, she's having her own trouble. She's trying to at least help out and talk with everyone, but she just keeps getting ignored. In fact, usually she has to try and run around to keep up. Deku actually talking with Bismuth and saying that they got everyone back. But it's just Garnet. How do they get her back? Garnet is messing around with something. A spork. Now, Midori would just begin to rummage through and actually look around some of the old CDs and other things he has in his room. Finding one thing. For, some tapes that he's been at least trying to think about. One tape he has, they haven't really looked at. In fact, it was considered to be a bit of a odd thing. It is called For the Crystal Gems. The Truth. Now, the Gems put off watching this and trying to at least not focus on it for quite some time. It was the last tape Roses ever left. In fact, they didn't even find it on Earth. They didn't even find it in Lion's Mane, they found it on Earth. Rose's, dumping grounds, where the diamond legs are. This was there. Yikes. Now, Deku would have played it, as Rose Quartz would have popped up on screen. The Ruby and Sapphire, they're looking at this, and thinking for a minute. Who is that? I'm not sure. But, as the two would have been divided on this, the boost to their future vision is a bit more better. In fact, they can see multiple timelines. These conversations go in different ways. but already the body movements and the way she's acting throw out so many of these other possibilities, narrowing them down to only a couple. Surprising and actually confusing, Sapphire. As it would have stated that she is rose quartz, before she would have morphed up into Pink Diamond, saying that, and she's also Pink Diamond. But she did not choose the first path. In fact, she was created and born into the Diamond Legacy. But there is one problem. Every gem that emerges, they have a purpose. You know what yours is. But as Ruby and Sapphire, a diplomat to homeworlds. And Ruby, the guard sent to accompany her. I'm sorry for that day, actually. And if you two are even watching this or, well, found this tape, I do hope you understand. I'm not forcing you to be Garnet. It is your choice, your decision, your life to make. And Garnet is a very, very special individual. She has her own free will, her unique purpose. She is a cross-gem fusion. Her morphing back into rose quartz, saying, unique. Now, Garnet would have had a bit of a flashback, and remember everything. Back toward the night where she first announced that Ruby and Sapphire wanted to stay fused, announcing it as Garnet's. And Rose told her that she is amazing. She doesn't need to ask her, she just needs to ask herself if she would like to. Garnet's actually really happy at that. The first year of her fusion was odd, yeah, but still. She was just happy to exist. Now, along with that, this is where everyone does at least try and turn their sights back towards Spinel. She's been acting odd and a bit off. Midoriya actually noticing that whenever he was going to go outside to check on something, and he said that Spinel can stay here, she was a bit more demanded about it, insisting that she is not going to be left behind again. Clearly, she's remembering her own memories and her traumatic past. Now, Deku, he would have been a bit more surprised, going out to see the injector, along with telling Spinel that things are going to be getting worse, and that she needs to fix that. Eventually, it would have gotten worse. Hours passing by, and the world seemingly beginning to crack under pressure. About 2 to 3 hours have passed. The city is looking very bad for wear. Little Homeworld is actually becoming affected, along with the city is also being affected by this gem thing. Along with that, the earth is beginning to shake a little bit, causing quite a bit of concern. Deku actually thinking that this is, well, something wrong. Running outside and immediately just, well, trying to figure out what's going on. The cluster is beginning to awaken. Midoriya actually running back in and trying to go to sleep. He learned that he has some weird connection in his dreams, but he's not sure what it is to or even about. Him trying to head to sleep and it not really working. In fact, it just gets worse and worse. The cluster beginning to move around and shake. As one thing would have happened. Its arm would have emerged from the earth. And it would have immediately just begun to move around and swing things around, smashing into and hitting the top of the temple. Actually, destroying the top of the mountain, along with knocking over the injector. It almost pushed in deeper, but in fact, it knocked it or at least made it lean in an odd direction. Meaning that it's at least not digging into earth, but it's still flooding the earth with this thing. Deku running up the mountain, and Spinel does chase not too far behind. immediately turning and just grabbing Spinel, yelling at her that she needs to fix her problem. And to make up for this, you are being so annoying. Spinel just freezing, not saying a word. Her best friend finds her annoying? No, that's just a joke, Pink. Midoriya is turning pink and yelling that he is not Pink Diamond. Her just getting a bit more on edge. She knows deep down that he's not actually Pink Diamond, and her other side is beginning to emerge as she just takes off running, straight for Midoriya's warp pad. Deku confused and telling her to get back here. Her bursting into the house and Midoriya chasing directly after her. Barely being able to get onto the warp pad as she would have warped away. And the two are at Rose's garden. Deku watching as she would have just gone running, going over to a information or a broadcast terminal. And immediately just dropping to her knees, trying to figure this all out. Pink is here, isn't she? Where is Pink? He's pink, he's not pink. Her being to have a mental breakdown, or at least a severe case of malfunctioning, if we want to be technical about it for a gem. Now, this is whenever she would have just poofed and reformed immediately, back into her old self. Midoriya just telling her that she will be fine. Her just saying that she's not too sure what to do. She would just turn around, enlarging her fist and throwing it directly at this information terminal, knocking it over and blasting it away, saying that she just misses Pink so much. You don't know what it's like. You don't understand life without her. Midoriya just walking over and sitting down, directly looking at her in front of her, and saying that actually, he doesn't. You're right. Her looking at him about to say something. Midoriya just cutting her off, saying, but I've heard all these great things and amazing things over the course of my life. And, well, as he just brings his hand up to his jab, saying that he is technically his own mother. His mom gave up her physical form and poofed. Now I'm the one using her gem. So you say you miss her, but I miss her too. In fact, somewhere here, as he just holds his hand over his gem, saying that she still exists, but not as herself, as me. Back during my fight with White Diamond, she pulled me in two. Deku just explaining it, saying that his gem half nearly destroyed White Diamond. In fact, his gem half cracked her gem. Spinel's eyes actually widening at this information, somewhat laughing a bit, and saying that that's actually really cool. Trying to at least make a joke out of this, saying that she must not be so perfect through the crack like that then. Midoriya just saying that actually he healed her. And, well, yeah. I don't understand everything about your relationship with my mom, but still. As he would just stand up and hold his hand out, saying, this is Era 3. You can start over. Just come help me save the Earth. As she would just start walking towards the warp pad. Midoriya doing one thing, saying that before he forgets, pulling the Rejuvenator out of his pocket. Now, as soon as Midoriya pulled out the Rejuvenator, this is where Spinel would have gone on the defensive, immediately elongating her hand and saying that he's trying to trick her. Midoriya just jumping backwards and saying no, he's not. He was going to snap it in half. Please, just her getting on the defensive and rushing towards him, saying that she doesn't believe him. Going to throw a punch. Midoriya just bringing his hand up and going to form a shield. It not working. Him just getting his palms open and immediately just colliding with her fist, as he was blown away by Gem's strength. As Spinel begins to pick him up and throw him around the place. Her actually understanding more about human biology in a sense. Being able to break parts being able to break parts of Izuku's hands, along with actually his forearms. Whenever he does try and go on his offensive or defensive, he wouldn't be able to do so. He would barely be able to glow pink for a second before his powers do glitch again. As during one hit, he would have been able to punch Spinel directly in the face, knocking her away and towards the, warp pad. Her just saying that she plans on leaving him on that planet forever. In fact, why don't I just leave you in the garden? Her bringing her hand up. Midoriya just saying for her to wait. Her just looking at him and saying any last request. Midoriya just saying, listen, as he just brings out the Rejuvenator, opening it. Her a bit more on the defensive, bringing her hand up higher and higher and higher. Midoriya bringing his hands to the direct center of it and beginning to pull it apart, snapping it directly in two. Her being surprised, and Midoriya just saying that he's done a lot of fighting in his life, walking forward to these pieces, and just dropping them, saying that but he knows when not to fight. He can at least show some restraint. Please, just him holding his hand out, saying, come back to Earth with us. Stay with us. You don't have to stay there forever. In fact, as he would just get on the warp pad, saying that she could just do whatever she wants. You can live free of White Diamond, even after she's affected you like this. Now, this would be a bit more, tugging at Spinel's heartstrings if you want to make a joke there. Her actually breaking down more, and Izuku having to comfort her. Eventually, they would have headed back to Earth after a bit of time, and pull the injector out of the planet. Spinel actually being able to shake hands with Midoriya and talk with him. Midoriya actually being able to do so, along with trying to figure out exactly how he's supposed to jog his memories with his power. Now, that would have been a secondary concern, since he saved the Earth. Now, this would have been where the hero organization would want to talk with him. He's done quite a good service to, humanity, in fact. And he might be held as a hero. Midoriya just explaining that he doesn't want to be held as that. But, he can talk tomorrow, if that would be fine. As he would have hung up the phone. Now, with that being said, I do believe that would be a good part to leave this off of. And I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.